Most consumers think of Tyson Foods as a massive farming empire that raises millions of animals across the American countryside. The romantic image of a livestock business involves rolling pastures, private feed silos, and traditional agricultural risk tied to weather and soil. That mental picture is fundamentally mistaken. Tyson Foods does not operate as an agricultural producer taking biological inventory risk on open farmland. Instead, Tyson is an industrial assembly line and asset-light margin processor disguised as a food company. The company does not own the vast majority of the farms that raise its livestock. It operates a synchronized logistics network that converts cheap grain into packaged animal protein at continuous industrial speed. The live animal is simply an input running through a distribution pipeline designed to extract pennies per pound. So, how does Tyson Foods actually make money? Tyson Foods was founded in 1935 by John W. Tyson in Springdale, Arkansas, during the peak of the Great Depression. What began with a single truck hauling chickens to Chicago has expanded into a global protein enterprise generating over $53 billion in annual net sales. Today, the corporation employs roughly 133,000 workers across hundreds of locations and supplies roughly 1 out of every 5 pounds of meat consumed in the United States. Its operations are organized into 4 core reporting segments: beef, chicken, pork, and prepared foods. In its chicken business alone, the company maintains the weekly slaughter capacity for approximately 42 million birds across more than 160 specialized facilities. In beef, it operates major packing plants capable of harvesting over 150,000 head of cattle every week. These figures confirm Tyson as the largest meat processor in North America by volume. Yet sheer scale does not explain the underlying financial architecture. The entire corporation runs on an operating formula that deliberately transfers fixed real estate costs off corporate balance sheets and onto private operators. To understand how that capital transfer functions, we have to look directly at the factory floor. What does Tyson physically do across its operating footprint every single day? Consider the vertically integrated poultry division, which defines the company's manufacturing precision. According to the United States Department of Agriculture Economic Research Service, more than 99% of American broiler chickens are raised under strict production contracts. In this framework, Tyson controls the highest margin and most technologically sensitive segments of the value chain. The company owns the genetic breeding stock through its Cobb Vantress subsidiary, operates the computerized hatcheries, manages the commercial feed mills, sets veterinary regimens, and runs the automated harvest facilities. However, Tyson avoids owning the physical grow-out barns where the birds spend their 6-week life cycle. Independent contract growers invest their own capital, taking out commercial loans to build steel broiler barns, provide daily manual labor, and pay for facility, electricity, and heating fuel. Tyson trucks deliver day-old chicks and proprietary feed mixtures directly to each farm gate. When the birds reach exact target weight, Tyson transport crews haul them to automated processing plants operating line speeds of thousands of birds per hour. By retaining legal title to the biological bird while outsourcing the underlying real estate and utility bills, Tyson shields its balance sheet from heavy asset depreciation. The live bird arrives at the facility, is stunned, eviscerated, deboned, chilled, and packaged within hours. This precision assembly line creates an unmatched barrier to entry that smaller regional processors cannot replicate. But here's the central tension. If Tyson does not own the farm real estate and faces volatile livestock markets, how does it consistently secure stable cash flow across economic cycles? That operating paradox brings us directly to the cash generation engine. But first, examine where the revenue dollar actually enters the ledger. In fiscal 2024, Tyson recorded $53.3 billion in consolidated net sales. That revenue stream is distributed across 4 distinct product categories with divergent margin profiles. Beef is the largest gross segment, generating roughly 39% of total corporate sales, followed by chicken at 31%, prepared foods at roughly 18%, and pork at 11%. However, high revenue does not equate to durable profitability. Spot market commodity beef and pork carcasses trade on thin, volatile margins dictated by national livestock cycles and packing plant spreads. The true pricing power emerges when Tyson converts commodity carcasses into differentiated, value-added consumer packaged goods. Tyson processes raw meat into marinated fillets, fully cooked tenders, breakfast patties, and bacon under dominant national brands, including Tyson, Jimmy Dean, Hillshire Farm, Ballpark, and Aidells. Bet you have never seen this commercial split. Tyson distributes 47% of its total volume through retail grocery aisles, 31% through commercial food service and national quick service restaurant chains, and exports roughly 10% to international markets. When Tyson supplies customized chicken fillets to national fast food franchises, it does not sell on the daily spot market. It signs multi-year cost-plus supply contracts that automatically pass grain price fluctuations directly to the restaurant brand. This dual-channel strategy lets Tyson capture high-volume wholesale cash while defending premium retail shelf margins. But turning wholesale volume into net cash requires rigorous control over the physical cost stack. Now zoom into the cost stack to see how cash leaves the business. In animal protein processing, feed is the single largest variable operating expense. A standard broiler diet consists of roughly 60% corn and 27% soybean meal, meaning raw grain represents over half of live chicken production costs. Because Tyson consumes hundreds of millions of bushels of grain annually, a small shift in Chicago Board of Trade futures can swing company expenses by hundreds of millions of dollars. To manage this exposure, Tyson employs extensive financial derivatives while passing production volatility directly down to its grower network. According to data from the USDA Economic Research Service Agricultural Resource Management Survey, contract growers receive a median compensation of approximately 6.79 cents per live weight pound delivered. Tyson calculates this payout through a tournament compensation structure that ranks farmers against their geographic peers. Growers who achieve superior feed conversion ratios receive performance premiums, while growers with higher feed consumption face direct payment deductions. What nobody talks about is that this relative tournament system acts as an operational hedge for Tyson, compelling growers to absorb the cost of flock inefficiencies or environmental stress. Beyond feed, the cost stack consists of processing plant labor, cold storage refrigeration, wastewater treatment, and diesel freight logistics. Inside the harvest plants, Tyson deploys robotic deboning equipment and computerized water jet portioning systems to maximize yield down to fractions of an ounce. In a business where margins are measured in single pennies per pound, recovering an extra 0.5% of usable breast meat produces millions of dollars in incremental operating profit. Yet even the most sophisticated processing machine remains exposed to catastrophic agricultural risks. Protein processors face three structural threats: biological disease outbreaks, multi-year livestock supply cycles, and unexpected processing disruptions. Avian influenza can wipe out millions of commercial birds, while sudden facility fires can paralyze regional harvest capacity. For instance, the 2019 fire at Tyson's Holcomb, Kansas beef plant instantly removed 30,000 head per week of harvest capacity, destabilizing regional cattle markets for months. More recently, the American cattle herd contracted to a 75-year low following severe multi-year droughts across western grazing pastures. Because ranchers aggressively culled breeding cows, live cattle prices surged to record highs while packing plants struggled with unutilized capacity. In fiscal 2024, Tyson's beef segment generated an operating loss with a negative 1.9% adjusted margin, demonstrating the brutal vulnerability of single-species processing. This dynamic closes the central tension opened earlier. How does Tyson survive when its largest segment loses money? The answer lies in its multi-protein portfolio and industrial scale. While beef margins collapsed under tight cattle supplies, Tyson's chicken unit rebounded to an 8.8% operating margin as feed grain prices retreated. The cash flow generated from chicken nuggets and packaged Jimmy Dean breakfast sausages absorbed the beef downturn, keeping corporate free cash flow positive. Small regional slaughterhouses cannot survive a prolonged cattle shortage, but Tyson uses multi-species diversification and vertical integration to outlast down cycles and consolidate market share. Foods succeeds not by being a farmer, but by being the ultimate industrial toll collector between the grain field and the grocery cart. By transferring fixed real estate capital to contract growers, locking institutional buyers into cost-plus pricing, and balancing multi-species commodity cycles under one corporate umbrella, Tyson extracts durable profit from microscopic unit margins. When agricultural markets turn hostile, smaller operators exhaust their cash reserves and shut down. Tyson simply shifts capital across its diversified portfolio, optimizes line speeds, and continues harvesting volume. The competitive edge is not romance or pastoral tradition. It is cold, vertical, industrial scale.